Hi class, welcome to class session 1. This is our first lesson that focuses on the different models of instructional design. Now, in the world of online learning, it's important to know that there are different design models that you may want to use when constructing your classes. Now, here is a picture of several different theories of instructional design that have helped shape the field. First, we're going to focus on the Smith and Ragan model. The Smith and Ragan model has been classified as systems oriented. It's best suited for large amounts of instruction, such as designing an entire course of curriculum. So, if you're doing any online classroom design and you're doing it for an entire course, then maybe the Smith and Ragan model will be best for you. Now, systems oriented models have the following characteristics: availability of significant resources to a trained design team, high front end analysis, emphasis on tryout and revision, widespread dissemination, and instructional delivery without design teams. Now, the learning theories of Gagne, Merrill, and Rutledge contributed to the Smith and Ragan design. In fact, in the instructional design book that Smith and Ragan authored together, their third edition, they actually expanded on Gagne's 9 events of instruction, which we'll talk about a little bit more in this lesson. Smith and Ragan credit also Johanneson and Rutledge for the foundational work of their instructional theory. So this lets you see that a lot of these instructional designs and instruction design methods aren't just out of the blue anywhere, that there's actually background from other researchers and designers. Now, let's begin by saying that the Smith and Ragan model, these two authors do not feel that their model is unique and different. Instead, they just think of it as a common model of instructional design. Analysis, strategy development, and evaluation are three components of most instructional design models. However, what really sets the Smith and Ragan model apart from others is that it focuses heavily on the treatment of instructional strategies. Now, when you look at this visual of the Smith and Ragan model, be very careful, because even though the model has a linear design, the process is concurrent, and that's going to come back up later. Now, let's talk about analysis and assessment, which is the first phase of the Smith and Ragan model, and it can be broken into four components: contextual analysis, learner analysis, task analysis, and planning for assessment and learning. Now, the Smith and Ragan argue for front end analysis. They really feel that it's highly important to conduct needs assessments and focus on the learning environment. Smith and Ragan believe that by conducting a needs assessment, designers are able to ensure that instruction and subsequent learning produce the intended or desired results. So there's no way you're going to get what you want in the end if you haven't taken the time up front to make adjustments. Now, the second component is context analysis, which is when you take time to describe your learning environment. This helps to ensure that newly designed instruction is actually used. When thinking about the learning environment, it's so important that you consider the teachers, the existing curriculum, facilities, and the equipment. Next, Smith and Ragan advocate for careful analysis of the target audience. This means that you want to analyze the learner characteristics, and this can be broken into four major categories: cognitive, physiological, affective, and social. Smith and Ragan believe in focusing on prior knowledge when analyzing learner cognition. Now, once the needs assessment has been completed, designers recognize learner weaknesses, and these weaknesses lead to the preparation of learning tasks. Now, the last component is the Smith and Ragan model for today that we're going to discuss is the analysis and assessment portion, is to assess whether the desired learning outcomes have been achieved. Smith and Ragan recommend that designers create objectives and assessments concurrently in order to create criterion reference assessment items. Now, this is the end of segment 1. Even though this may not have been the most interesting lesson, I hope it was beneficial to you. When you have finished, please take the quiz for segment 1.